one. In terms of the actual picks, though, I'm not really too surprised in that regard. I guess the kind of one thing I was a little bit caught off guard by was maybe the Dust 2 being let through by forZe. I thought they might have maybe even went towards the nuke, but I guess they don't really want to play into those strengths of Eternal Fire too much. I still just feel like if it gets the Dust 2 as that decider, things are going to be maybe a little bit awkward for forZe. So honestly, they might be looking to try and get this done in two if they want to make sure that things aren't going to get awkward.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what they can achieve. Of course, this is the map pick of Eternal Fire, starting things off over on Mirage, so forZe will be jumping immediately, of course, over towards that CT side of things. As Eternal Fire setting up a very early A execute, already sending him off, just poking his way up the A ramp, seeing how much he can see. As now the nades start to come over the top. forZe actually not playing the retake setup. zorte and Jerry playing inside of the site. Not something you see too often at the moment as they'll start to swing. zorte looking to click a couple of heads, but he's been dinked up and he's lost his support. XANTARES out of Palace. zorte does very well to even grab a second as Shalfie will chime in onto XANTARES and buy them a little bit of a retake opportunity here. 3-on-2. Kenzie already on the fast flank. This isn't going to be expected. Calyx has no idea. He turns, but it's too late. xFlad doing what he can. Keeps it competitive. Shalfie low on HP will swing wide, and it's well traded away. Norway doing a solid job there. Trading with the other youngster on this forZe roster. Grabbing themselves an early round. He's looking for the P250. Yet to find it. He's going to make sure he gets that defuse in before things get too ugly. He's picked himself up the kit. Grabbed a flashbang as well. Just looking to save himself a little bit of cash here and there. And he is going to go and won't quite grab the P250. So not perfect, but pretty damn close from forZe.
I don't think you'd be too worried about not getting that in the end. It would have been a nice little addition, but either way, they're coming onto their actual gun round now. With the bomb going down, though, Eternal Fire have decided that they do want to try and come in with a force buy. They're going to get an AK onto XANTARES and a Galil for Calyx, a Scout for Woxic. I mean, three very, very capable players who, despite having a couple of weaker weapons, I think can definitely get some serious damage done here. So forZe are going to want to be careful. Looks like a slightly slower approach from the T side, at least that is. They are going to focus on towards middle, but they're waiting on XANTARES, and this is perfect. Kenzie in towards under. I was going to say, even if he gets this one kill on XANTARES, unless he just exits through apps, he would have been in trouble. Even then, xFlad was in there, so yeah, I mean, there wasn't really a lot to be done with that aggression. You would have had to have basically have come through with a couple of kills and just look to have stayed alive. Either way, not allowed. And now you can see the pressures mounting for them to try and pull back some of these kills elsewhere. Norvi boosted up on short. A bit surprising that Emor was working on his own right there. It wasn't really necessary. The bomb's still all the way back towards the top of mid. There is a couple players pressure and apps, but they clearly weren't ready for a B split if that's what they were looking to move towards.
It looked like Emor maybe went 30 seconds too soon, right? You had the pieces in towards mid, but he was just a little bit far ahead of the pack. Now spotted out. Woxic does well to tag up with the scout, but zorte's still there, and the 401S fully automatic is going to capitalize. An advantage wrestled back in favor of forZe. Still not perfect, though, with Norway down on 56. zorte tagged by that scout, as we said. 3 rifles now available for this T side. A late execute into this A site could have some purchase. forZe really running low on the nades as well. The only man with any is Shalfie, and well, he's got one flashbang to maybe give someone an opportunity to peek out. Jerry smoked off his angles. Will have to concede the site. You can see zorte desperately waiting for some utility, something to help him peek in. Flash goes out, Floud close, but zorte up to the task, and Jerry as well, swinging well as a unit on the forZe side of things. Jerry comes in for even more, and forZe just about managed to stabilize things against the force buy. For a split second there, it looked like it could have got ugly. XANTARES looking very crispy on that initial pick into underpass, but forZe do a solid job of stabilizing as a team.
Yeah, Jerry in the end as well, getting a couple kills on that MP9 and got an AK for free as well then. Didn't keep it for himself, I think gave it over to Kenzie and decided he's fine with an MP9 for now. He knows they're up against another weak buy here. 3 HEs though, actually. I'm curious, is this in towards the window? Very likely. zorte, I think he might be okay. It's actually Connector instead they tossed him towards. Understandable. Usually there is going to be a player peeking around Connector as well. Hoping to catch him peeking out, maybe even a second player alongside him if they were trying to be a bit more aggressive, but it doesn't work out. Either way, a 1-for-1 here initially is not terrible considering what they have to work with here on mid. We'll have to see. XANTARES still has a deagle. There is a player pushed up on short that could be in trouble, but no. Shalfie on the Galil spots out the head of XANTARES, jumping up and deals with it, and at this stage they just don't really need to give away any peaks anymore. They can wait on on Eternal Fire to come their way pretty much and just go ahead and close this one out cleanly. Keep 4 alive. At that point, they'll be feeling pretty decent now moving into this next gun round, and we'll have to see. This is where Eternal Fire need to start coming alive. This is where we really start, I guess, getting a feeling for what they're going to be capable of here in this matchup against forZe, at least on the T side of Mirage. This is where we expect a lot from them, or at least the T sides are in general. As you said, this is, I guess, the one map that's a bit of an exception. It's Mirage, though. I mean, 6 or 7, usually what you're going to be looking for on that T side.
It's a solid one. Don't get me wrong, when I'm saying it's the exception, they still are a very solid T side team. It's just one of the maps where their CT side can sort of back it up. Jerry right towards the death of that previous round, even able to get his hands on the M4A1 that was dropped by zorte. So a little bit of a bonus round. zorte heavily investing, of course. He gets his AWP out. Otherwise looking pretty solid economically for the CT side. zorte does look like he's going to be put under pressure. He's posted on the Palace angle, but Calyx has just snuck by him to the left. Jerry now joining him to try and clear this one. Now, nice dink, converted on the wallbang as well. That'll be full Palace control. You can see they have to go fast now, Eternal Fire. They know they need this B-bomb site, but Norby doing a solid job of locking it down behind the back bench. The man advantage turns to 2, and the bomb for Eternal Fire is still all the way back in spawn. They're just lurking out alone. XANTARES, a nice reaction shot to take out Shalfie. That aim coming through. But again, it's isolated fights. woxic solo is going to back out of the B site. They're trying to lurk the bomb out A. zorte is still here, and if he hits that shot, the round is surely done. He takes out Immor, takes the bomb down with him. And at this point, 45 seconds left on the clock. You can see woxic. What do you even do in this situation? He's an AWPer in a 1v4. No real control of the bomb. No utility to even get himself out. He glass cannoned the AWP into this round. And it looks like he's going to glass cannon it out of it as well. Just lurking back at the B apartments at this point. 25 seconds. Looks to save the AWP. But forZe, I think you have to say, already looking like they're going to start converting some of that early form. Because the biggest issue we had with them yesterday was that the first game of the day, the first map of the day, they started very slowly. They were very, very rough around the edges, right? The aim looked a little off. Things weren't quite clicking or connecting. Not seeing much of that yet here. We've had a couple of very nice flick shots from XANTARES. Other than that, they've looked very clean in converting their kills.
I completely forgot as well. This is congratulations for you. Just won a pistol today. They were, I believe, 0-8 yesterday. I don't recall them winning any. But obviously, they kicked off this series on a bit of a higher note. This is Eternal Fire's map chaser as well, so I don't think they'll want to be starting off much slower than this. They'll want to start getting a couple of rounds on the board there pretty soon. But I mean, I don't think it's the end of the world if things don't necessarily go their way here. I'd want them to, at the very least, make it competitive. But we did see forZe struggle yesterday on Inferno, so we know it's a map that they can be chipped down on. So we'll have to see how things advance. Obviously, though, still very early days here on map number 1. Oh, the timing is horrible for woxic, and now he's going to swing wide. And I don't know how he gets away with it. Jerry drops down off the railing just as woxic peeks through. Immor is going to find a pick from underpass, rather. Although he will get taken out eventually, trying to get himself that AWP. XANTARES is good for the trade, and the second one as well. Not sure how he gets that vision. Can barely spot him with the X-ray around the smoke, let alone without it. XANTARES is just inhuman, and there is Calyx to go ahead and finish off the round very quickly, shutting down the rotation. That is a swift round win from Eternal Fire.
It was not a heavily invested round either. A handful of deagles, and XANTARES had a rifle. One saved AWP, gets the early pick, and that is what Eternal Fire will do, right? It felt like forZe switched off just a little bit, held their angles half a second too long, and they were punished on every single one of them. We'll still be able to buy. That little bonus round we had prior will mean that they've got a decent amount of economy. Actually going to hit the panic button on a double AWP setup as well. zorte, very proactive, boosted up to make sure he wasted no time getting into those B apartments. A lovely opening pick. Immor going to try and probe towards mid as a result, but Shalfie on that secondary AWP has been posted in this mid window the whole damn time. Immor does get one, and XANTARES will catch Shalfie. Looking to transition between two angles. The timing a little rough for forZe. That man advantage very quickly disappears. zorte doing all he can to steady the ship. Another big pick onto Calyx, but Immor looking to sow the seeds of chaos here in zorte. I don't think he's going to be aware at all. Looking completely the wrong way. Shot in the side of the head. Jerry thought he had that sight on lock. Instead, he finds himself a lone island. And you can see Eternal Fire just probing everywhere. Man in mid, man in B, man in A. Just looking for all of these picks, and XANTARES is going to be able to get out on this B site for free. Can even call the rotate. You can see that bomb starting to back out of Palace now. Norway, he knows Imor is somewhere into more mid, and he needs this pick. He will grab it. Keeps it competitive in the 2-on-2, but I don't think he knows quite how far XANTARES has managed to sneak his way up. No, looking completely the wrong way. He'll be taken out. Jerry over on that A site will start to realise what's occurred, and he'll start to make the long trudge of a rotate over towards this B site. With no info on where that second player is, nothing to go on. Bomb will be planted. And this is what Eternal Fire can do to you. Just hitting every single portion of the map almost simultaneously, making it nigh on impossible for you to really work out what's going on until the last possible second, and by that point it's too late. Jerry on a little bit of a salvage mission now. Grabs himself the AWP, decent amount of utility as well. He picks it up off the various corpses scattered across the map. Will get himself a full belt as he looks to save in towards Palace.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a scary approach, to be honest. We've seen cases, obviously, where the lurkers start kind of getting picked off one by one and such, but it was kind of a good approach on top of that of Eternal Fire, causing a bit of chaos with a couple of entries before starting to really pressure all across the map. And at that point, forZe just caught rotating pretty much everywhere, as we see, and especially that Norvi one on towards B. Maybe like 2 seconds later as well, he manages to perhaps creep across to the bomb site, perhaps then is in a position to even cut off the rotator with the bomb. Things could have went a little bit different, but for now anyway, Eternal Fire, 2 rounds in a row, pretty convincing as well, you've got to say. That save, it looks like the force is going to come out from forZe, but it's not quite perfect. The FAMAS and a Deagle in play, they at least have solid nades behind it. But it is the full investment, meaning if Eternal Fire can take this round for themselves, a fort very likely to be ready off the back of it. And, well, let's see. It looks like it might even be a slightly quicker paced round. They are still working with some mid presence, but a lot of the T's are moving directly on towards that A bomb site. And woxic trying to move across the steps with the up in hand gets shut down by Kenzie. And it's pretty much just everyone right now going ahead and taking a piece of the pie on that side of forZe. It's a team effort to lock down this A push, leaving only xFloud now. And, well, despite getting that 1 kill, it costs him pretty much all of his health. The nade somehow doesn't finish him, but Kenzie will with a bit of a wall bang. It's a 5th round for forZe, and a convincing one. That's how you want to get yourself back into the action.
Yeah, Eternal Fire looking to brawl it out the ramp, and the protocols just didn't quite seem right. The fact that woxic is top stairs, that has to be a rifle. There is no way your AWPer is meant to be jumping over to stairs and essentially trying to barrel stuff the player who's on the staircase. Like, that shouldn't be happening.
He was miles ahead as well. Yeah. There was no one really ready to trade. If you maybe at least have the rifle peeking bottom stairs, maybe I could understand.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones where it feels like the idea is solid, right? They change the pace, try to pile the pressure on, but the execution just not quite there. Now Shalfie, secondary AWPer, over towards this B site, about to be put under pressure. That's a nicely timed Molotov, right as they look to queue up, in fact. Looking to support his teammate on short, won't be required. Kenzie through the smoke has dealt with Imor, and here we go. B-hit to come in, nice utility, a little bit of a nade chip damage. zorte able to pick one off on the cross, starting to thin the numbers early, exactly as required. zorte continuing to frag from inside of the site. Shalfie looked like he hit it, but it's the overwatch of zorte. The wallbang even continuing to connect. woxic will be able to grab one. Quick on the draw on that AWP, to say the very least. Grabs a second, nice flick down. Actually manages to take both AWPs away, but they will be recovered in amongst the wreckage. Was able to hold off on that B hit pretty damn well. You see it there, Eternal Fire. The individual skill ceilings of some of these players is absolutely unreal. It's just the matter of stitching it together that sometimes gets undone.
Yeah, it's ideal. XANTARES is at least looking really solid. woxic there with his couple of op shots, if he can perhaps pick up a couple entries like that earlier on in a round when they still have some numbers standing. That could definitely help them out. And while they do have the buy here, it's not quite perfect. A Mac-10 and a Galil kind of subsidizing the weaker players, or the players at least who have the weaker buys. Imor and Calyx, I don't think it'd be justifiable to call them weaker players. Wasn't meant like that. forZe, they're focusing a bit more in on mid. Haven't really seen this, as you'd kind of pointed out, even in back towards their pistol round, they were playing heavy in on the A bomb site. haven't really been going towards the A retake, and this round they've decided they want to. They want to push in on mid. They've got a second player stacked back towards B as well, seeming to have a bit of a read that it might be towards this B side of the map, but at the moment it is just mostly the default. They were setting up for what was going to be a late mid control, and well, they're pretty much just gifted a kill right there with Jerry eventually moving through the underpass right into the crosshair of XANTARES. Now the run boost out top mid, alongside a flash with Zorte being taken off of the angle, means mid control and the man advantage is going to be taken by the Turks. Now they need to get a move on because they don't have all that much time to actually get into one of these bomb sites.
3 seconds left. Shalfie and Zorte, both AWPs, in fact, over towards this A site. Timing, as you said, is going to be everything here. Shalfie dropping a little bit of utility to try and give himself some breathing room in and around this connector. If he can deny bomb's transition by a little bit of time, this is still doable. Counter utility coming in. That's a nice little smoke. Just locks Shalfie out of the sightline he was after. They're trying to deny the transition. Norway good for one. Shalfie will grab one through the corner of the smoke as well. And this starts to get interesting. Zorte again playing Overwatch as through the smoke goes Shalfie, able to sacrifice his life just to buy Kenzie that extra half a second. The wallbang's continuing to connect for Zorte as Kenzie will find the final kill. forZe looking solid on this CT side. Their protocols look pretty damn good. Jerry overextending a little bit. You can see the reasoning. Just could have done with a flashbang as he went around that corner. Other than that, that double up setup seems to be working absolute wonders for the CT side at the moment.
Yeah, they're onto the one on Zorte for now, but I think that's plenty for them at the moment. He's 14-5 with it. Everyone else is doing pretty decent with the rifles as well. And especially in a round like this where they're not up against all of the guns on the side of Eternal Fire, you don't want to be working with too many ops. What a shot by Emor. Kenzie, I think, managed to at least catch one through the smoke just in the same second, pretty much, that opening had actually come in, so they don't really get to work with an advantage off the back of it, sadly. With the weapon obviously being in window and not recoverable, I don't think forZe will be too worried as of yet, but still, a 1-for-1 trade is not the worst position for Eternal Fire. You can see they're happy enough to slow it down now, and it's another round where they have a hero AK on XANTARES.
If you could frame a Twitch clip to describe Eternal Fire, it would be that. Emor just running through a smoke on short, just straight through it, and one-balling the AWP in mid-window. Very much the style they like to play. Bought them an early 4-on-4 here. As you said, a little unfortunate that the one does get traded through the smoke. Still an opportunity. That's a nice little nade onto XANTARES. He's looking for the headshot. Won't land it, but they're going to pile the pressure on. Norway has to retreat. Drops his smoke to do so. Utility now comes over the top, and he hasn't got support. He's very isolated here. Shalfie just about managing to swing on in at the last possible moment. He provides the supporting line that Norway so desperately needed. Comes in with one more, and XFloud at this point looking for the miracle. Nice shot for one. Grabs the second. He's spamming away, but he's out of ammo. Tagged down. 16 HP. He knows he's got an isolated fight on short, but Shalfie not giving it to him. He hits the third. XFloud looking to show it off a little bit. Just one man too many. The Deagle gets 3. And Eternal Fire very nearly pull off the miracle.
Damn, could feel the flick on the last one there as well. He had the flick over. If he gets a little bit lucky with the Deagle spread, maybe that's his round right there. But, I mean, yeah, considering the position he was in up against the 4 with the Deag with like low health pretty much the entire time as well, he gets away with a lot. He does some pretty good damage, and I think they can at least try and find some positives off the back of it. But you can see they immediately call the pause, because if they actually want that damage to have been useful, they need to make sure it's right now that they come alive and start winning out some rounds, because taking one here completely ruins the economy of forZe, would put them probably even onto a 4 buy at that point, so as long as they can then overcome that, they'd probably head up towards 5 themselves, and potentially could be on track still for a 7-round T-half, who knows. So, I mean, I'm being very, very optimistic here. But you need to be at this point, because again, this is Eternal Fire's map choice. They don't really want to be letting it slip away, especially not this dominantly.
Certainly feels like the swing round. Starting to get to that stage, as you said, where you can't be letting many more go this way. Bought yourselves the opportunity at ruining the economy. Courtesy of XFloud and some madness on the Deagle. Looking to slow it down as a result. You've seen this work out well for the T side a couple of times. forZe have got a little keen in the mid round, look to aggress in towards underpass specifically, and XANTARES, as always, holding on to it. Looking very crispy, but they've managed to thread the needle on this occasion. The CT side, they've gone for the ramp progression, the one portion of the map that Eternal Fire really have no idea what's going on, no presence at all. So that aggression, whilst it won't be rewarded, does take away a good chunk of this T side's opportunities, is now just starting to group in towards middle. First batch of utility comes out, Kenzie opts to play ahead of it, and this is going to be a rough angle for him. He dinks up XANTARES. Not quite enough. The AK triumphs as Shalfie playing his own gap, his own smoke. Timing is now going to be everything. woxic, with bomb on his back, is starting to make his way down towards that ramp, and there's still two players bunkered down in the ramp itself. Jerry with zorte to back him up. They're going to go for the two-man clear. Eternal Fire, they send XFloud in early. He gets his head ripped clean off. woxic looking for the trade, won't land it. Jerry gets both, and that's the bomb down. It doesn't matter, they're continuing to get fragged, but with 13 seconds, forZe know what they've got to do. They've got to bail out, they've got to lock down their angles, they've got to survive, and they do it. Jerry with 4 kills to his name in the round. zorte, the supporting cast as the veteran, gets it done. Eternal Fire, the one portion of the map they had no idea what was going on, is exactly where they look to send the bomb, and forZe punish it with open arms.
It just doesn't seem like Eternal Fire can crack their way through at the moment. We said again, that was another swing round. I mean, obviously they keep the damage on, so the economy is being kept incredibly modest for forZe and could still be pretty quickly broken, but it doesn't matter if they just don't start winning out some rounds. They're not really giving themselves much room to actually recover this T-side any longer. Again, just a hero rifle brought out this time on Emor, some pistols behind it, and, well, a bit of a quicker A-play. Ned already doing some pretty decent damage, though. zorte going to be smoked off for now, though, back into spawn. It's Jerry instead who wants to fight it. Flashed in the peek in from Triple, but he actually doesn't find anything before going down. Instead, it was only the single pick from zorte, and so far, that's the only one he's been able to achieve as well. A few missed shots, I was going to say, could make things awkward, but in the end, Shalfie helps him to clean things up, and, well, despite a bomb plant going down, I don't think they'll be too worried about it. 10-2, they're up on double digits. And it's very strong looking forZe here, I think, to kick things off in the morning. A massive contrast to the beginnings that they were getting yesterday.
This is super, super solid stuff. Looking very clean over on that CT side of things. And they're not massively CT leaning statistically either. So to be able to put this kind of performance on the board early on, put that statement play out there, you know, say we are going to fight this one tooth and nail. Right from the get-go, not really giving any breathing room. Eternal Fire on the rifles this time. Again, setting up for that straight A play. 3 players in the palace, 1 on the ramp. forZe, interestingly, heavy mid-leaning this time. A little bit of a misread. Imor's going to take some damage, and Kenzie straight through the smoke will find him. That's a lovely pick. Makes this start to look a little one-dimensional. 3 players popping out of palace. Here we go. They flash themselves down. Jerry will be able to catch XFloud. zorte swinging in to take out Calyx. And again, 2 on 5 at this point. woxic and XANTARES, I mean, if there's any 2 you want, sure, it would be these 2. But how much can they realistically get done? XANTARES jumps across, deals with zorte, but is quickly traded away. Jerry just about able to hit the alarm panic button before he gets too awkward. And woxic, yeah, full minute left on the clock. Spraying on the wall. He might need a jump shot at this point if he's going to land something. Stuck in the palace. Does have the bomb on his back, but the problem is Kenzie has just started to pin him in. Couple of players pushing. Feels a little premature. He'll hit the first. 38 seconds left on the clock, and I think forZe have got to be a little careful here. Norway has utility. He's actually tucked himself in tight on this angle. woxic doesn't expect it. Will be taken out. For a split second, I thought he was going to shift on it and hit that no-scope, but can't quite get it done. 11 rounds on the CT side for forZe. Mirage falling apart at the seams at the moment. This is not a good look for Eternal Fire as they take their second timeout.
Yeah, the only problem is, even if they want to get the buy, there'll be at least a couple of players who have pretty much no nades behind it, unless they're willing to sacrifice down in the weaponry department, maybe towards Galil's, but yeah, it's going to be rough either way. Whether they want to go for the buy now and maybe limit themselves a little bit more going into that final round if they don't find success, or if they want to try and something together here and then get a full buy in the last one. I think at this point, though, you just need to keep on trying to win some rounds. They likely will buy up everything that they can. Even then, though, it seems like four is pretty much going into this final round, or into these last couple of rounds, rather, have finally stabilized their economy just enough to at least have one buy in the reserve, which was actually something that kind of avoided them for a while. They weren't able to get it built up at all. So at least having enough now for the one round if things are to go south here. Boost up into the apps, though. I like this. A little bit of a change up in the approach. Although it doesn't look like he's going to go too aggressive, at least not until Norvi's ready. He's going to lead the way on the M4, and, well, we'll see if anyone's going to show themselves. A bit of a dangerous shoulder peek from XFloud. He hasn't actually spotted him yet, though. And I think XFloud eventually just beginning to back away, not really wanting to risk things around that area too much longer anyway. They'll move in instead for the mid control, where things shouldn't be too much of a struggle. Shalfie, rather, is back in window, but for the moment, not really going to be peeking in towards middle, and as the smoke goes down, he won't be given much of a choice.
Looking again like they want to split this A site, but split feels a little of a strong word. Calyx is solo in Palace. Everyone else is in mid. Looking to death ball it up. Nice nade timing to chip away at 2. forZe with not an awful setup. Not great as Shalfie starts to swing. Somehow catches 4 players with nobody watching for the window smoke fade. Picks off Wox at the extremes of the hit. And now it's going to be a 2-on-4 as they initially barrel into this site. Fast rotation available for Shalfie. He'll make his way out. Kenzie dropping the smoke to obscure the ramp push, give him a little bit more room to breathe as now the hit comes in. Just swarming onto this site, Eternal Fire, looking to hit all their angles. Jerry still tucked in Ninja. His timing is going to be key. Calyx knows he could be there, but he doesn't manage the shot. Can't quite clear him out, and now Jerry flirting with the smokes, continuing to do damage. It's all going forZe's way. XFloud trying to turn the tide, manages to grab the first. The bomb is down, and that does give him something to work around, but the spray is rough. Can't get more than the one. Kenzie puts him down. 12 for forZe. That CT side continues to flourish, and for Eternal Fire, it's just small things again, right? Firebox not quite cleared. Calyx not quite hitting the shot as he chooses to drop down, leaving Jerry inside of the site to sow the seeds of chaos as he does so well. This first half looking very dominant for forZe.
I mean, I knew that they had the ability to find this form after what we seen from them yesterday, but I still thought we'd get a lot more from Eternal Fire, especially kicking things off on the T side, even if it's not traditionally where they do their best work on Mirage. It is still the T side of Mirage, where normally you can get things kind of flowing off of the default, which I thought would play into the hands of Eternal Fire, but clearly not so far. The secondary up, though, in the hands of Shalfie. He's played his way all the way up mid. I don't know if he'll be able to move quickly enough for it to be all that valuable, though, and it might actually be a bit of an issue since they only have one player in towards B. It is going to be Norvi on his own for now. No nades ready to be tossed down. He's just going to have to land shots as they come true. For now, tucking in behind the pillar, eventually catching Calyx, but he's only good for the one. They're locked out of B now, and, well, the hope is to try and catch a kill as that bomb goes down, hoping for a bit of an advantage, but it doesn't look to be the case. They're going to have to work in for a 4-on-4 retake, and this is probably the best chance Eternal Fire have had to pick up a round.
Should be a third for sure. Just the wrong call, the wrong setup for the hit. Coming in from forZe. They'll give it a go. It's the last round of the half. There's no harm in it. No need to save the guns anymore. A little bit of damage onto him, or Shalfie looking to rotate in. They've managed to tag up a fair few. They know Roxic's here. He's not expecting the late lurk, but XANTARES will trade it. XFloud in a fantastic position will pick zorte off, and at this point it's falling apart. XANTARES with one more. They know where Shalfie is. They'll just wallbang him down. 12-3 as we head into the halftime. forZe looking very, very solid. It's a long way home for Eternal Fire. Can they find the comeback? We'll have to see after the break.
tonight. I'm waiting with the candlelight. Nothing lasts forever, so let's just be together. Baby, you can call me tonight. Baby, you can call me tonight. Everything will be alright. Only if you call me tonight. Call me tonight. It's 2 a.m. Still waiting, girl. The wine is open. You gotta make a choice. This could be the night. I don't bite. You still have my number.
One hell of a start for forZe. 12-3 up on their CT side of Mirage. Just 4 rounds away. The pistol, at this point, an absolute necessity for an Eternal Fire squad who we normally attribute big comebacks on the T side to. They're going to have to do something a little bit special for their CT half this time, as forZe already queuing up on that A ramp. XANTARES spots out one. Couple of players playing inside of the site again for the CT side. Couple of missed shots from XANTARES as the first smokes come out, but he won't miss that. zorte, head ripped off in the Palace. Calyx able to grab one from under dark as well, and this is a nice setup for the CT side. Flashes in. They've got so many blinded up players. Calyx finds another before the first frag of the round comes in for Norway. He's losing teammates left, right, and centre. This round should be a done deal. They continue to swing in. Just the one frag for forZe as Eternal Fire start things off strong on the CT side.
Yeah, some nasty shots being landed, and as you said, it's a bit unique that both of the teams, I guess, keep on kind of playing that A straight-up hold rather than playing for the retake. It means they just need to land shots. There's no fading away and taking one kill and trying to keep the numbers or anything. No, you need to come out with a multi-kill. You need to be taking 2 at least, and from those committed positions rather in on the bomb site, and that's what we see. And absolutely perfect on the hold. It gives Eternal Fire a lifeline now, and well, as long as they can overcome this force buy of the Tech 9s, we should be seeing 6 rounds even going their way. And then who knows, get the initial gun round, and perhaps there is a comeback at hand for Eternal Fire. Even though you said the T side is traditionally where they do better, it is the CT side slightly so here on Mirage. So if they can get things rolling, if they can stabilize the economy, then there definitely is a chance for Eternal Fire to get themselves right back into this one. Qualifier waiting on this peak on top mid actually takes a bit of damage. A little bit scary for sure. They don't want to give really anything away with how heavy they've gone in on the rifles here, but as you can see from forZe, they're playing incredibly passive themselves.
Yeah, not interested in anything initially. I think hoping for some aggression. Hoping for a peak. Someone to push a little too keenly, to walk into a crosshair. Not being given it though. With 55 seconds left, they have to start making moves. Flashed out of mid. Just Norway there. It's going to be the B hit. 2 players ready to receive, including xCloud, who still has a Molotov to play with. As they start to cross on, Imor spots him. Won't be able to hit the initial shots, but that molly towards the van does a lot of the work for them, quite frankly. Imor will find his first, and the dinks starting to stack up now. Calyx swinging in to support, does deal with the mid lurk of Norway. And at this point, just Kenzie and zorte trying to get something out of this round. So far being given absolutely none. They've tagged up 3 players to within a bullet of death, but none of them are peeking, none of them are facing, giving zorte any kind of opportunities. He actually tags up Calyx to make it 4 out of 5 on low HP. Unfortunately, XANTARES up close and personal is the only one with a full belt of health, and he'll be able to find the final frag to close things off. Eternal Fire flying a little close to the sun, but they get it done regardless. And as you said, this one going to be a nothing round for forZe, just a handful of Glocks, so it should be 6.
Yeah, it'll be pretty straightforward. Doesn't even look like they're going to buy any nades or anything, so I think maybe a quicker play. Try and just get the bomb planted. If you get 1 or 2 kills out of it, then it will be a round that's worthwhile at least. I don't think that's going to be the case though. It looks like they're going to split up even a little bit over towards Palace and Ramp. They've got Eagles pretty much on everyone to work with in the end, as they've put in a pretty decent investment. They do obviously get themselves, I believe, to 2,900 now going into this next round, so it's not like they're going to be short on money. They are being pushed down at the moment by Woxic, who's also looking to ensure that they're not going to be short on money. He wants to build up a bit of bankroll there against the Kevlarless players. A decent start with the 1 kill. Thinks up Jerry. He's going to get a nade in, I believe, which will finish him off. And you've still got 1 more player who's low. It's not the man in front of him, though. So this fight, I was going to say, against zorte, not going to be the most straightforward up against the Deagle, and, well, he does lose his life. Hopefully the one casualty, though, because other than that, they've got M4s all across the board, and, yeah, you don't want to be dropping any of these. I think the one UMP is one that you can kind of happily go ahead and get rid of without being too worried. Woxic would probably like to just go straight onto the op in this gun round anyway.
Yeah, that's the one casualty you can write off happily. zorte left in the 1v4, as Norway's taken out on the ramp, and, well, he knows what the goal is. Any of those rifles wander into his crosshair. He's a pretty crispy Deagle player. Immo will go for it, and there's the headshot. Nice, takes away at least one. And this is exactly what forZe would have been hoping for. We knew the investment in this round was very minimal. Just anything that zorte can take away, any more expenses, he can force Eternal Fire to take into the next. The opportunity at a clean reset on the economy would be fantastic. XANTARES, the next man to be spotted out, the next man to offer up his head, and zorte, well, he will keep taking them. Now, here's the problem. He's got 10 seconds left. He really, really needs to die, because he has not got the bomb at his feet, and he will want an AWP into this next round. He knows it. He's trying to swing it, and he will just about get it done. I thought for a moment Calyx was just going to fade off that and let him survive, but I guess since he had the 4A1, look to take it away. Eternal Fire will have 6, but it's expensive. zorte does a fantastic job of removing some rifles.
Yeah, now coming on to the gun round, you have the ops in play on towards zorte at least. Woxic's going to have his one as well, as we mentioned, with him being pretty happy to go ahead and actually reinvest in. But yeah, overall, a ton of damage done, so they don't really have anything in terms of the bonus round, so it's not going to be ideal if they do lose this one out. And well, XANTARES, that was an awkwardly timed flash. I do believe it was Calyx who tossed that one in from the take the peek in on mid. Probably should have peeked a little bit closer maybe, and with the flash in behind them instead. Either way, goes down without really much damage being outputted, and I was going to say that makes things a little bit awkward, especially with the mid control and initially window control being lost. But that's a good return at least on Jerry, and somehow Woxic gets away with that kill on Kenzie. At this point now, they need to be very cautious. The low health onto 2 of the players, they need to pretty much sit back and wait and see exactly what the plan is going to be for forZe. And it looks like for now, the goal is towards that B bomb site. How exactly they're going to make that happen, though, still seems a little bit debatable.
This is the problem for forZe. They get the initial pick, great. They get the control, they start to probe, and then a couple of wonder shots come out. Woxic with a nasty flick to the right. Just 3 players left alive. The ramp control given up to Calyx. It has to be the B side. They don't have a choice. XCloud is low, but Immo holding the angle on the AWP will continue to find damage. 2 on 4 at this point. It really is on that rifle. Shalfie, how much can you get, mate? He's found the first. He knows Immo still lurking in and around this backside. He's going to try and molly him into the open. Baits the shot away, and the molly will finish what he starts. That buys them half a chance to get the bomb down, and they'll take it with open arms, but there's already a flank. Calyx is already into the apartments. He looks for the trigger discipline, can't quite land the shot. The molly is well timed though, and it will start to force them into awkward afterplant. zorte now posted, but he's going to need a 1v2. He has info on both of these players. He has a gap in the smoke, but he misses the first shot. Calyx looks to pile the pressure on. Shoulder peek after shoulder peek, and he rips his head off. 1 missed shot's all it takes. Eternal Fire will capitalize in a major way. The gap starts to narrow even further, and they survive their first real test on the CT side.
And importantly, are able to carry the 2 ops through. They are the only weapons to have lived, obviously, but the main ones, and all up against a bit of a slightly weaker buy in terms of nades, at least here, I think. They should be purchasing for sure. They've got enough for the AKs easily. It's the utility then that on a couple players won't be all that plentiful behind it. But it's still enough to definitely justify buying. As you can see, they are going to go for it. Keep the pressure on. Still in a position where a single round pretty much can break down Eternal Fire. But, I mean, we've seen things... We've been seeing some kind of similar games to this, I suppose, since yesterday as well. We had the initial match between forZe and Sprout, where forZe started pulling off a pretty spectacular comeback on that Ancient game. It just seems like we're getting a lot of one-sided halves over these last couple of days. It's weird. Hasn't been too common. From what I can recall in a lot of our ESA Premier games especially, it's usually just pure chaos back and forth. Either way though, Made in towards the ramp. They're not going to be doing a lot. It is going to be the A split being set up. But it's a slightly slower one, I was going to say. But that kill now on towards from Kenzie, rather, in towards Connector is going to very quickly prompt them forward. And as Calyx falls, that A bomb site may just be given up. They might want to consider the save already. They haven't got the money to justify the retake if they don't get these quick entries. And surely they're shut out.
Yeah, well, it's a really nice shot for one, but second target is just a target too many. XFlow then dinks Kenzie through about 7 walls. Determined to show that even in the losing rounds, they do have just a ridiculous amount of technical capability on the Eternal Fire side of things. As you said, though, Woxic and XFlow very aware that they do need to be saving. They want to save both of these orbs as well, and I think forZe, by and large, are going to be inclined to let them. Norway, a little keen to go hunting, but not too much, because you look at their own economy and they're not fantastically placed. They don't want to be throwing away rifles to try and take away an orb, so they will just settle into it. A little bit of a handshake, 13-7. forZe finally register over on the T side of things, but it's not going to get easier. Double orb setup still up, still plenty of capability on that Eternal Fire roster. The buy's not going to be perfect for forZe. As I say that, they do manage to get it together. Zorte, I presume, has an AWP on the floor for him. No, he is going to get the AK. So a little bit of a sacrifice against the double AWP setup, but not an awful one. Allows you to play a little quicker, which can be to the detriment of these double AWPs. 4 players already queued up towards B. Kenzie alone in mid. The wallbang dangerously close to connecting. As forZe set up a very heavy B lean early on.
Yeah, well-timed smoke at least there from XFlow, but the problem is his teammate's very aggressive in on short, so I was going to say might be a little bit awkward if they start to push in on B early on. But he just spams the smoke, Shalfie's dead, and yeah, that's not a good start into this round for forZe. Looking to try and chain a couple rounds together, hoping to get things going for themselves on this T side, and well, a missed up shot actually does end up costing Eternal Fire a small bit in towards middle. XANTARES at least is ready with a return to stop them from taking too much control around window, but he's forced to then retreat quickly. And well, for now, they're actually going to leave the bomb in connector while 2 players push around B. One up short, one in towards the apartments. It's honestly a bit of a strange approach, and sadly, they're not able to actually work alongside each other. Or if he's forced back as his teammate falls.
They've bit. Oh, yeah, Calyx has gone all the way through. He's pushed all the way through the ramp, which is given a free A site. Zorte, I don't know if he realizes this.
Oh.
They have no idea. They have no info to tell them that this is what happened. And if Zorte just wanders onto the A site, it's a free plant. If he walks into the crosshair of Woxic, it's a guaranteed round for Eternal Fire. With 20 seconds left, they'll almost be forced into making this plant happen. So they should be able to get the bomb down here. They start to smell a rat. They expect that someone has gone a long way away. Calyx will start to make the rotation back in. The pincer move will look to hit. It's a decent plant, but the problem is Norway so unaware of what's coming. Gun down in the back to leave Zorte 1v4, not even with his favourite weapon, just an AK-47 and a flashbang to work with. Smoke will go onto the bomb to obscure vision. XANTARES looks to swarm, the defuse looks to stick, he plays the high ground, does get the dink. Zorte up to the task for the first, but the defuser's already come in. He's actually trapped in this corner, will go down with the ship. Eternal Fire continuing to start wrestling with this comeback. The money will be there for another buy for forZe, but that gap is getting narrower and narrower, Dean.
Yeah, unfortunate. There wasn't really much you could do there while pinned in jungle. I like the idea, hoping they'd be fully focused on connector. As you said, yeah, that lead that forZe had, that massive lead at the half-time, pretty quickly dissipating for them. They need to start getting something together here. One round every now and again, a stray straggler is not really going to be enough for them, unfortunately. Good control, though, I've got to say here for Kenzie up on short. I believe it was heard by the player up close, being Emor. They at least should be cautious, and they should be aware of the fact I was going to say that they've lost a lot of this control in towards middle. But zorte somehow managed to work out a pick on towards that A bomb site. I think Calyx left himself exposed behind triple. A little bit unfortunate, and it's going to also allow Jerry now to creep in through window, taking out XANTARES, and, well, just crumbling this A defense, unless Woxic pulls off a bit of a miracle. He's good for the first kill, but now with a ton of damage being sustained, I don't think there's really a lot more that he's going to be able to do. And forZe, either way, with a minute, are just happy enough to park the bus for a second. They waited for everyone to be ready for this push to move in together. The only problem is it's allowed for CT rotations. And now they might have outgamed themselves because the bomb is going to be completely trapped in behind this flanker.
Zorte's got no idea. No idea that XCloud is here. He just starts to think maybe, but he's watching the wrong corner, and that's bomb. With 40 seconds left, all of this trickery means nothing. kenzie will grab one. Goes for the CT flank. Does deal with the first. 2-on-2. 30 seconds left on the clock. They know XCloud is out towards the ramp. They know there's a man in CT. They have to take both of these fights together. 25 seconds. They're running out of time to make this happen. 20 seconds. The bomb still lurking. XCloud playing such an intelligent angle. They'll swing in. They get the frag, though. Jerry, clean headshot. And now 1v2, 10 seconds. They've got to get to site now, and you can see him or knows it. He's got the AK, 6 seconds, planting inside of the smoke. It won't even be needed. kenzie comes up huge. They somehow battle the 2-on-2. They battle the clock as well. And they still get their 14th. They break the economy of Eternal Fire, and they are 2 rounds away from stealing their opposition's map pick.
It's crazy that they're able to make that work in the end, man. I mean, I don't necessarily blame Eternal Fire for the way that things played out. There was a decent amount of time. It was difficult. Obviously, they couldn't get the player who was over towards CT, over towards ramp to help hold onto the bomb itself. So things kind of played out the only way that they could in the end. Fights just needed to be won by Eternal Fire to end out that 2-on-2, and unfortunately they weren't able to make it happen. Now they're on a very limited buy, and if this one doesn't work, I don't think they'll really have anything better in the following round. We're hearing the typing in chat. Yeah, that means normally that we are unfortunately going to be getting a bit of a pause coming in. Usually means there's an issue. Very quick close. Usually to be resolved.
So close, Steve, to getting through one whole map without a tech pause.
We really have much pauses in general. I think we only had like one tactical pause even. So it's been a pretty smooth flowing game so far. A few hiccups here in the second half for forZe.
Yeah, they've started just to... It almost feels like they're playing to the tune of Eternal Fire, right? It got a bit brawly early on in the second half, and that's where Eternal Fire can do a lot of their best work. When you are just taking Angels against some of the best aimers in the business, you have to say, right? But they've reset well. A couple of big individual moments from the likes of zorte have certainly helped. Absolutely flying at the moment is zorte. Top of the board with 22 kills. Nobody close to touching him. Nice to see some of the youngsters doing solidly as well. kenzie combining. The old guard of Jerry there for forZe. And at this point, as we said, as we get back into this round, it's a very scrappy force buy. Couple of M4s flanked by Deagles, MP9s and Scouts. They're going to have to go proactive with it, and they know it. XANTARES sent charging up mid, but it's a 1-for-1. And that rifle is in a hellish spot. Nice tag up from him, or the nade to follow up. He'll chew on it. They needed that man advantage, and they managed to wrestle it their way. Imor, fantastic work to find that kill. Support line's now coming in for Calyx, who is a little bit isolated under dark. You can see Norway aware of it, but the timing is there. Calyx beheads another, and Eternal Fire, they were never going to go quietly, but they're being very loud about their successes in this one.
Yeah, damn, not making this easy for forZe at all. Working out with these weaker weapons, and well, it's Jerry and zorte who aren't really in positions to work off of each other either. One of them likely needs to move back if they want to get that bomb also, so I think right now the goal really is to catch someone within the next couple of seconds out of position if they want to have time then to also move back and get the bomb, and by that point won't really be given any option other than to commit it to the A bomb site. So I don't really like their chances, if I'm being honest, in this 2-on-4, but we'll see what can be done now as they start to move through. Jerry... He initially peeked out of Palace, moving his way back in though. Are they maybe even just considering the save at this point? They've got 1500 on Shelfie, so I mean they won't really be able to buy onto everyone, but still a couple of rifles maybe would have been useful. It seems like, yeah, Zorte is happy enough to move in towards the bomb site while Jerry chills back in Palace. I don't know what to tell you, Wolfie.
It felt like Zorte was aware that he was in too advanced of a position to really get away with saving, so he thought he'd go for damage, whereas Jerry, he's back in Palace, right? He's chilling. He can just back away, keep his utility, keep his AK. Eternal Fire, get away with murder. Him all with a nice combo on the Scout, Calyx with the Deagle. And this is the problem, there's no such thing as an easy round against Eternal Fire. A Deagle for $700 will kill you in one shot to the head, and Eternal Fire are very good at putting their crosshair in the right spot. Back onto the rifles now as forZe are forced back into a half buy. 4 Deags, 1 AK of course, Jerry saves that across. Does leave his economy a little disjointed from the rest of the crew though. If they look to buy into the next round, it's going to be a rough one. Just trying to poke over towards B, hoping to catch a head. X-Cloud gets away with one there. Will have to chew on the nade, but is happy to tank it. forZe just starting to probe their options here. Dishing out a little utility to take the early mid control. Hoping, probably again, just for another Zorte moment, right? 2 or 3. Couple of Deagle headshots. See if maybe you could steal a bomb plant. That'd be fantastic, but in all reality, with Eternal Fire just turtling onto the respective sites, there's very little forZe can hope to get done here.
Yeah, Mirage isn't really one of those maps where it's easy to get an eco plant, unfortunately. Be tough to get out through the choke points of B when you don't really have the utility and the weaponry to work with, and well, then over towards the A-bomb site, there's a bit more ground to cover. Ton of angles, longer range ones as well, usually. XANTARES tucked in jungle here is pretty quickly going to find a fight. The problem is, it's a bit of a bait, I was going to say, initially from the Deagle player, trying to set things up for the AK in the hands of Jerry, but he had fallen off of the ledge just as his teammate peeked in, so he's a bit late on the follow-up. But I was gonna say he should be ready for the kill either way, but no, XANTARES checks at last second, is then ready for Zorte on the bomb, and, well, yeah, you were correct. There's absolutely nothing to be done on this round from forZe in the end. Double digits for Eternal Fire, they're up towards 10. There's 4 rounds now in the difference. And I think people are, myself anyway, I'm starting to believe, but I'm sure people are really starting to think, yeah, this is getting out of hand for forZe. Double digits, I think, is where you always start to kind of have the reality of the situation kick in, especially as a player. You're like, okay, yeah, this is a real situation right now.
Jerry saw it. He saw the double kill. He knew where it was. A little unfortunate on the timing, and it's punished. This time again, fast mid control brawled for, and Shalfie's actually going to get the better of XANTARES early on. Zorte with a slight gap in the smoke. Calyx will be able to trade things, and again, just straight through the smoke. Immor spots a pixel, finds a frag. And what was such a promising initial situation is just again immediately turned on its head. A couple of quick kills. Calyx gets one towards the ramp. Immor swings wide on mid. And forZe find themselves a man down, yes, with mid control, but not with a lot else in all honesty. Starting to have a look into connector now, but the response again is immediate from Eternal Fire. Calyx just charges through Palace. Takes all the map control he could ever ask for. Woxic will stay posted on the con angle. As forZe, they're slowing down, hoping they get a pick. Zorte will grab one over towards B, and that will cause a rotation now. Calyx is going to be the lone bastion of this A site for now, and he's a long way from home. Again, on a long flanking mission, he pushed out, pushed up, cleared Palace. Will forZe be ready for him is the question. Zorte looking for the pre-fire. Can't quite find the connection. Plant going to come in inside of the smoke. That won't allow Calyx to do much. Kenzie was watching for this, but he turns. And that gives the frag away. Gives that man advantage back to the CT side. As now 2 on 3. Zorte is in a nightmarish spot. A man on short behind him. Can't quite find the kill. Nor he will be taken down as a result. And Zorte 1v3. Can't connect the shot. It rings out, but it won't connect. That gap gets a little narrower still. Eternal Fire continuing to brawl here on Mirage. As they draw ever closer. 3 rounds the gap, and the economy again just about there for forZe.
Yeah, I'll give them the AK buy at least with the loss bonus and the bomb plant, but No op sadly going to be coming out, and at the moment they're struggling against this double op setup especially. It's the rifles doing a lot of work in fairness, but just the threat of having to deal with the two ops, of them being posted up across the map rather, is making things incredibly difficult for forZe, and well, even her being slightly limited on utility, it's not going to make it any easier. One player rather in towards mid. Everyone else then just straight up focused on A. This might be a little bit of a change in pace. Zorte though is slightly burned in towards the ramp, and that actually gave away his position. But it doesn't matter. Calyx just swings through. Not able to really get anything initially, and it's only one from XANTARES as well before he goes down. So it's going to be the A bomb site just swarmed and taken over. And that's what forZe needed. They'd been playing out defaults. They'd been trying to pick them apart across the map and play off the back of calls. But no, in this round, they just play into the chaos. And, well, we said before, that might not always favor them with the talent that's available on Eternal Fire. But in this round, it does work out. And, well, XFloud now, he's just fighting to stay alive and save this up.
Felt like they had to do something about Calyx, right? There have been so many occasions where he was able to get into the back lines, swing wide on something, buy an afterplant, buy a frag out of nothing. So the fact that they then just straight brawl the A ramp, Shalfie wins the spray down duel up against Calyx, that's the real key. And from there, they just trade efficiently. XFloud will be allowed to save the AWP. Money on Calyx and XANTARES is solid. They could drop. Voxic and Immol were looking very, very skint, but as Eternal Fire called their third timeout, there will be enough money to just about scrape this one together. And again, forZe are still at breaking point, right? They have not stabilized their economy. If this one goes wrong, if it is 12 for Eternal Fire, it should be 13 before there's another buy, and overtime is still very much a possibility on the horizon here.
Oh, for sure. Still very doable. I mean, yeah, the one previous round we had seen go the way of... the previous rounds we had seen going the way of forZe as well were usually pretty lonesome as well. So chaining things together has been eluding them so far on this T side. So if the trend is to stick, Eternal Fire definitely could return immediately. As you said, then 3 more to go off the back of that. Very, very doable on the CT side of Mirage. There is a slight weakness to their buy here, though. XFloud being left on a FAMAS. I mean, at the end of the world, but still, he's been playing really well. So you don't really want to limit his weaponry. As, again, they are going to begin with some early mid presence. A lot of utility thrown in, and that's actually pulled Eternal Fire into a very aggressive stance on mid. Still one player, though, tucked in on the A-bomb site itself, so it doesn't really matter. Flash over from XANTARES for Calyx to take the peak, and... well, that is a really good reaction from Eternal Fire. forZe were clearly trying to keep as much of that attention over towards mid as they could to allow for Jerry to try and work that early pick from ramp and to just get the pressure on, and it's backfired.
CS 101. Flash, take the angle, find the kill. XANTARES now tucked in. It's going to be a duel of the fading smokes. There's multiple targets. He will grab one. Zorte, though, has dealt with Voxic and starts to open up this A site as Calyx. They know he's here. They know he's the only man on the site, and he misses the spray. Norway, that could be the kill that does it. Immol will try and rotate in. XFloud a long way away still, and as you said, only a FAMAS. We've seen them be the undoing of many a CT side as the flank starts to come through. Shalfie has caught a lovely timing. The door is wide open for him. Tagged up. Immol finds Zorte. Can't finish his meal. They know they've got to get out. They know they're not covering their backsides. They have got to get onto this site now, and it's 2 quick kills. 16-11. It took them a while. It took them a long, long time. But forZe, they do find the finisher. They do get it over the line. And they buy themselves a huge opportunity. It's their map pick coming up next. It's Inferno to second the series. And they've just stolen Eternal.